not giving any particular reason why that is. She also did not attend former President Jimmy Carter's funeral as well. As we continue truly to see the who's who, we do hear some of the music right here, so we pause on the commentary and allow you to listen in. And family and friends. Well, that was kind of moot this year because it was moved inside from outside because it was so cold. So to your point, we have heard from a lot of people who come from all over the country to be here for Inauguration Day. Pretty disappointing. And to your point, the National Mall right now, not a soul in sight. And that is never the case on these inauguration days. It is teeming with thousands of people. And you see there some of the members of Congress, Mike McCall there from Texas, Mark C. Kaptur from Ohio, Greg Neeks from New York, Byron Donalds from Florida there, Mike Waltz, the incoming National Security Advisor. Of course, remember, he had to resign his House seat in order to take this role. This is not a Senate-confirmed role, National Security Advisor. And you see so many others from the Texas Republican congressional delegation there. And also, Andrew, what's interesting is, of course, obviously, all of this has had to pivot from an outdoors event to an indoors one, and the reason being that it was too bitterly cold outside. And now one has to wonder, with hundreds and hundreds of people packing inside the Capitol Rotunda, how warm it's going to get inside there. They might have a very different issue. When you have so many people packed shoulder to shoulder, it does get very warm, and it is going to be interesting to see, as you mentioned, the interactor. It is my favorite, just to see who's talking to who and who's not talking to who, and who's greeting each other, and who's turned their body language away from each other. It's fascinating. And almost the former speakers there right in the front, kind of unofficially acting as a greeting line for so many members there of the House. Many Republican members right there. You see Chip Roy. You see Brian Stile from Wisconsin. And others there. You see Jeff Van Drew from New Jersey. Of course, Chip Roy drawing the ire of President-elect Trump during the entire government funding shutdown showdown that was averted mere weeks ago after the Christmas holiday. But it's just very, very interesting. So we are seeing this, Stephanie, of how all these people are going to fit in the Capitol Rotunda, and it is getting full. And it is getting packed, as we can see, but just wanted, and we can see the justices right there. I did want to raise the audio, so we can continue to listen in. Just joining us here on the Fox. Andrew Kraft here with my colleague Stephanie Quinn. You want to thank everyone for being with us. We're just a little past the 10 a.m. Eastern hour. Stephanie, to your point, we just saw the justices of the Supreme Court. I believe all 9 of them in attendance, but also I've spotted there former Justice Stephen Breyer, who retired during the Biden presidency, and that is how we got Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first African-American female on the court there. So Breyer in attendance, which I thought was interesting. Also wanted to highlight just some of the excerpts that we have gotten from Trump's second inaugural speech that will be delivered in about an hour's time. He says this: "My message to Americans today is that it is time for us to once again act with courage, vigor, and the vitality of history's greatest civilization." To my point, Stephanie, going into this weekend and now today, the social scene of Washington is full on MAGA. And I don't say that as an opinion or as a subjective statement. It really is. It's such a departure. It's such a shift from how the Trump folks were welcomed into Washington. That with us as we continue to follow the very latest. And we did want to once again share this live look outside the Capitol Rotunda. We saw Jeff Bezos, of course, founder CEO of Amazon, along with his fiancee Lauren Sanchez. And I did want to raise the audio to see what we can hear as the arrivals continue at the U.S. Capitol ahead of the swearing-in ceremony. Good, all right, Sagittarius. And we see former President Bill Clinton along with Hillary Rodham Clinton also in attendance right there, just posing for pictures. And we do know that, all of the living presidents will be in it. We're very different. And we see the doors, the infant rubles, I believe, coming in. Yeah, maybe not. I just wanted to let our viewers know we see the doors opening once again. That, of course, is Vice President-elect J.D. Vance alongside Vice President Harris. They, too, will be sharing a motorcade. And to your point, Andrew, you were mentioning it's going to be interesting to see what First Lady Jill Biden and Melania Trump will be speaking about. Now you have Vice President Harris and J.D. Vance sharing a vehicle. Is there going to be any sort of conversation, as they make their way to the Capitol Rotunda? We continue to talk about the political dynamics. And, it's always interesting. We see them from a distance, but truly, they only know what's happening inside that vehicle, of course, alongside, Secret Service. But they, too, are departing the White House. And finally, as we pivot the and codified in the Constitution. Of course, the presidential oath itself, that's right there. Now, the oath that vice presidents take, not necessarily there either. They can do as they see fit. It's not too far off from the presidential oath, but the presidential oath is in the Constitution. The date, January 20th, that's in the Constitution, albeit by amendment as well. So I thought it just kind of underscores the fact that most of today is tradition, is pomp, is circumstance, is pageantry. So I thought that was interesting for our American history buffs out there. And, even though these traditions are not as long-standing as some other countries, these are, really held, close to the hearts of those here in the United States, really signaling that new frontier and now making this our own as we continue to look, as you were mentioning, Andrew, the who's who of the business world and also the soon to be, possible cabinet picks right there, as we see some are posing for pictures. But what a moment. The First Lady Jill Biden and the soon-to-be First Lady Melania Trump now leaving the White House, entering into the motorcade as they make their way to the Capitol Rotunda right there. A live look, as you can see, another event happening as the First Lady Jill Biden and soon-to-be First Lady Melania Trump departing together in this vehicle right here on their way to the Capitol Rotunda. We have yet to see President-elect Trump and President Biden. They will be likely the very last individuals to depart the White House on their way. As we were mentioning, Andrew, President Biden, President-elect Trump taking part in the traditional tea ceremony, where they sit down for tea and, have a conversation of sorts ahead of the inauguration and the official oath of office. Yeah, I think the role of the First Lady, especially with Melania Trump, will be very interesting the second time around. Of course, you have to imagine what Jill Biden and Melania Trump discussed. Melania Trump is not a new First Lady. She is incoming and a former First Lady herself. And it was reported that Melania Trump's people did decline a security reason. This was done to protect his people, Trump's people. Though there are some security analysts and experts that we've even talked to here on Live Now, who argue that this could have been made with that in mind. That decision could have been made with that in mind. Let's keep watching this motorcade. Love it? Good morning, sir. How are you this morning? Good, sir. Thank you. President Trump, how do you feel? President Biden? Wow. And there we saw President Biden and President-elect Donald Trump arriving at the Capitol. We see Elon Musk there, Andrew, just one of the tech titans, as you know, we were discussing. As we await the official swearing-in ceremony, there is Melania Trump right there, First Lady Jill Biden, Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, and others as they continue to make their way inside the rotunda for that actual swearing-in ceremony. Yeah, and interesting, the Vances seem to be kind of trailing behind, leaving the pack from behind, so to speak. I thought that was interesting there. You see J.D. Vance and Usha Vance coming into the rotunda there. Biden and Trump kind of walking somewhat stone-faced there. Biden, when asked how's it going, he said, well, he and Trump side by side, in unison, in tandem, walking in with Vice President Kamala Harris behind. And you can just feel the emotions in the room. I think it's so interesting that, and that's what's so unique and so miraculous about the American experiment, is that political foes, political losers and winners alike can be in the same room. You see the Republican mega donor there, Miriam Ableston. You see UFC chairman Dana White. This is part of the Trump invitation list, so to speak. I'm going to be doing my best to point out some of these individuals, but you also saw there Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, speaking with Elon Musk as well. So, Stephanie, we're just waiting for President-elect Trump, President Biden, and all the other dignitaries to enter into the rotunda. There is a waiting area, kind of a holding room off the side, and you see members of the incoming Trump cabinet, all of whom, Stephanie, have yet to be confirmed, though their confirmation hearings are ongoing as we speak, and they will continue this week as well. You also see incoming White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, there in the long white dress coat. She was instrumental in the Trump 2024 campaign, serving as co-campaign chairwoman with Chris Blacivita. And you see so many others. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, former Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler, former New York Congressman Lee Zeldin, John Ratcliffe there, Trump's pick to lead the CIA, Kash Patel, Trump's pick to lead the FBI, and so many. I believe that's Vivek Ramaswamy, Kevin Hassett as well, and Tulsi Gabbard. So all of the incoming Trump cabinet members are seated behind the principals there on the dais, which I think is an interesting choice. Yes, they will serve out, if confirmed, the Trump cabinet there. Susie Wiles speaking with Tulsi Gabbard. So it's just really interesting. I mean, Stephanie, if you think about it, we're going to be talking about these names a lot. You and I on Live Now from Fox for the next 4 years. I also recognize there to the right, Tucker Carlson in the rotunda. There's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and so many others, some of whom, Stephanie, you remember, were one-time rivals of Trump on the primary stage, like North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. But I think I've exhausted my recognition here with familiar faces, but that is a storyline we are going to have to watch in the next couple of days. These confirmation hearings and whether or not there will be any more hiccups or snags in that process. They'd been quite fiery as of late, including with Pam Bondi and Pete Hegseth last week. And truly, defeat of Hillary Clinton, and now we see members of the Trump family, his children there. Interesting.
Ladies and gentlemen, former Vice Presidents, the Honorable Dan Quayle, accompanied by Mrs. Marilyn Quayle, and the Honorable Michael Pence. Ladies and gentlemen, escorting Dr. Biden and Mr. Emhoff, the Republican Staff Director of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, Ms. Emily Leviner, the Senate Secretary for the Minority, the Honorable Gary Myrick, the House of Representatives Chief Administrative Officer, the Honorable Catherine Spindor, and Mr. Bruce Fisher. Ladies and gentlemen, the 42nd President of the United States, the Honorable William J. Clinton, accompanied by the Honorable Hillary Rodham Clinton. Ladies and gentlemen, the 43rd President of the United States, the Honorable George W. Bush, accompanied by Mrs. Laura Bush. Ladies and gentlemen, the 44th President of the United States, the Honorable Barack H. Obama.
So it's not only how these individuals are going to work with the incoming Trump administration, they have also given money to the Trump inaugural as well. So they have paid for their seats, so to speak, Stephanie. So true. And when you talk about donations and, trying to, get into the ear of the most important people who make these decisions. But, as we take a look at, and we are awaiting, of course, the people of the hour as we are, anticipating the introduction initially of Melania Trump and Usha Vance. They will be the first people to be introduced, and then Vice President-elect J.D. Vance And then finally, of course, the man of the hour himself, Donald J. Trump, as the 47th president of the United States. As we were mentioning, Andrew, this is not going to be what we are used to seeing when it comes to inaugurations. It's a little different as we are indoors right now. Instead of being out on the mall with hundreds of thousands of people, this now is just the select, hundreds of people that are allowed. Inside, we see former President Bill Clinton and Hillary Rodham Clinton walking not hand in hand, but side by side right there as they make their way to the seats. And also, Andrew, we haven't seen former President Barack Obama. We may have missed him, at least perhaps me, but I have not seen him yet. And we are expecting that he will be in attendance. And so we're just going to have to wait and see. Of course, George W. Bush with Laura Bush as well. We're also expecting to see arrive as we continue to just watch history unfold before our very eyes. Hey, Stephanie, you had mentioned there, we see the Bushes now. You had mentioned all these people in the rotunda. You would imagine it's going to be quite toasty, quite warm. You might be right, but historically the Capitol Rotunda is freezing. So I just thought I'd offer that context there. But now we see President George W. Bush, former First Lady Laura Bush. We also see members of the Trump family, the Trump grandchildren, now entering into the rotunda there. And then there we have former President Barack Obama walking alone, as we do know that former First Lady Michelle Obama declining to attend this swearing-in ceremony, not indicating why. There's been a lot of speculation about that, but she also was not in attendance for former President Jimmy Carter's funeral service. And also to note, Andrew, former Vice President Pence was walking solo, and we saw during the funeral service of Jimmy Carter, his wife not shaking the hand of Trump or Melania Trump, indicating, of course, that fractured relationship that took place after, that fateful day on January 6th. Yeah, that was quite a frosty, chilled reception there at the National Cathedral now some weeks ago between Karen Pence and the Trumps, a non-existent greeting, so to speak, though there was reported what Pence and Trump briefly discussed. Pence offering his congratulations to Trump on his election victory, so I thought that was interesting. Still pleasantries maintained and delivered between the two there, though at the Carter funeral, that was, I believe, the first time they had been in the same room. Second gentleman Doug Emhoff and soon to be first Lady Vice President there, and we are waiting in. I'm going to raise the audio as we are expecting President Biden and President-elect Donald J. Trump to be departing as well momentarily. Chief Justice of the Supreme Court John Roberts there walking into the rotunda, and from what I understand, I believe he will be administering the oath of office. Trump has two Bibles that will be used to administer the oath, his mother's Bible, and then, of course, the very, very famous Lincoln Bible from 1861. That's been a hallmark. It's been a tradition for many, many inaugurations past. So just a really, really beautiful live look. Let's keep listening.
Ready, host. Ready, host. Yeah.
And as the limousine departs right there, we actually saw President-elect Trump on his cell phone, Andrew, just checking some stuff. But we were hearing one of the reporters yelling out to both Biden and Trump, "What are you going to talk about?" And obviously they did not answer. But of course, that's the question that everyone wants to know. What will these gentlemen be speaking about? They, of course, were joined by a Representative Amy Klobuchar, who, is part of the committee that oversees the inauguration and all of the events. But still, curious minds want to know, Andrew, what is the conversation going to be like inside this limo? I don't know specifically, and perhaps you do, just how many minutes it's going to take for the limousine to actually arrive at the Capitol, but it could either be a very long ride or it could be a very short and comfortable ride. We don't know.
Yes, it is a very short ride, under 10 minutes. And yeah, you saw there Senator Amy Klobuchar from Minnesota, the Democrat, another member of this joint congressional committee on inaugural ceremonies. And so she's also in the limousine. Maybe she'll be breaking the ice, so to speak, between Trump and Biden. But this leads me to wonder as well, Stephanie, what is the Biden post-presidency going to look like? We know they're going to be, they being Joe and Jill Biden, they'll be spending a couple of days in Santa Barbara, California. After today, they'll be whisked off there to the West Coast. We know Trump is going to the West Coast later this week on Friday to survey some of the damage wrought by the LA wildfires. So they may be in California at the same time as well. But a post-presidency looks different, so to speak, if you're Obama and you're leaving the White House in your 50s. Biden leaving the White House in his early 80s. I wonder how he will choose to use that. He said in a speech in South Carolina just yesterday, he is going to remain engaged. He is going to remain committed. He's not going anywhere. So I think it remains to be seen what his role in American political life will be going forward. Sometimes presidents, all presidents, when they leave the White House, they go back to being everyday regular citizens. But some take up a role and they want to use their influence that they had in the Oval Office, even while not in the Oval Office. Jimmy Carter was a perfect example of that. And so you're watching the beast right now move down Pennsylvania Avenue, down to the U.S. Capitol. This is quite something. This is remarkable. Let's just watch and listen.
calling me. You are calling me to be true to thee, true to thee. I will be. Oh, America, no weeping, let there be no wounded heart. I will keep you in my keeping till there'll be from your mountains grand and all through this land. You love you, the people to me. Oh, America, you're calling. Oh, I can hear you calling me. You are calling me to be true to thee, true to thee. Oh, I will be. And we will be as oh, America, you're calling. Oh, whenever I'm happy.
The Honorable Jackie Barber, the Clerk of the House of Representatives, the Honorable Kevin F. McCumber, Mr. John Bessler, Mrs. Kelly Johnson, Mrs. Iris Weinschall Schumer, and Mrs. Jennifer Scalise. Ladies and gentlemen, escorting the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States, ranking member of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, the Honorable Deb Fischer, House Democratic Leader, the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries, and Senate Majority Secretary, the Honorable Robert Duncan. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, the Honorable Joseph R. Biden Jr., and Vice President of the United States, the Honorable Kamala Devi Harris. Ladies and gentlemen, escorting the Vice President-elect, the Executive Director for the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, Mr. Michael Wagner, Senate Deputy Sergeant-at-Arms and Doorkeeper, Jason Bell, and House Deputy Sergeant-at-Arms, Mr. Sean Keating. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President-elect of the United States, the Honorable J.D. Vance. Ladies and gentlemen, escorting the President-elect, the Staff Director for the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, Elizabeth Farah, House Sergeant-at-Arms, the Honorable William P. McFarland, Senate Sergeant-at-Arms and Doorkeeper, the Honorable Jennifer A. Hemingway, Senate Majority Leader, the Honorable John Thune, and the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, House Democratic Leader, the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries, House Majority Leader, the Honorable Steve Scalise, Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Honorable Mike Johnson, Senate Democratic Leader, the Honorable Charles E. Schumer, Ranking Member of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, the Honorable Deb Fischer, and Chairwoman of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, the Honorable Amy Klobuchar. Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect of the United States, the Honorable Donald John Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Please welcome the chairwoman of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, the Honorable Amy Klobuchar.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 60th presidential inauguration. Today, President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect Vance will take their oaths of office, and we will witness the peaceful transfer of power at the heart of our democracy. For the past year, I've chaired the Inaugural Ceremony Committee, which includes the leadership of Congress from both parties. We thank the committee and Capitol staff and law enforcement who worked so hard over the last year, and especially the last 3 days. You've done a beautiful job, and you have shown grace under pressure. Our theme this year is our enduring democracy. The presence of so many presidents and vice presidents here today is truly a testament to that endurance. We welcome President Biden and Dr. Biden. We welcome Vice President Harris and Doug Emhoff, President Obama, President Clinton and Secretary Clinton, President Bush and Laura Bush, Vice President Pence, Vice President Quayle and Marilyn Quayle. The justices of the United States Supreme Court are with us, all 9 of them, I counted, and of course, the Trump and Vance families. This ceremony marks what will soon be 250 years of our democracy. It is the moment when leaders, elevated by the will of the people, promise to be faithful to our Constitution, to cherish and defend it. It is the moment when they become, as we all should be, the guardians of our country. Through war and peace, through adversity and prosperity, we hold this inauguration every 4 years, and today it falls on Martin Luther King Day, a further reminder that we must strive to uphold the values enshrined in our Constitution, the freedoms, the liberties, and, as is inscribed on the entrance of the United States Supreme Court, equal justice under law. But what makes this moment more than a passing ceremony is all who are watching it across the country, the people of this nation, the ordinary people doing extraordinary things. President Kennedy, who at one point worked as a senator in this building and would often walk through this very rotunda, once said, "In a democracy, every citizen, regardless of interest in politics, holds office. Every one of us is in a position of responsibility." With that responsibility of citizenship comes an obligation not to seek out malice, as President Lincoln once reminded us, but to view others with a generosity of spirit despite our differences. With that responsibility of leadership comes an obligation to stand our ground when we must and find common ground when we can. With everything swirling around us, the hot mess of division, it is on all of us, to quote an incredible songwriter who just happened to be born in my state, to ensure that our nation's democracy is our shelter from the storm. There's a reason this ceremony takes place at the Capitol. In other countries, it might be in a presidential palace or a gilded executive office building. Here, it is traditionally held at the Capitol, the People's House. It is a fitting reminder of the system of checks and balances that is the very foundation of our government. 3 equal branches of government. That is how, for nearly 250 years, our great American experiment, grounded in the rule of law, has endured. So, as we inaugurate a new president and vice president, let us remember that the power of those in this room comes from the people. The construction workers who build our country, the teachers and healthcare workers who nurture us, the troops defending our freedoms, and yes, the firefighters in Los Angeles putting themselves on the line for us. Our democracy's strength and grit must match theirs. May God bless our nation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Endurance through the years is the ultimate test. To persevere through time is the truest measure of an idea, an institution, and a nation. Our founders wrote the Constitution so that America could withstand all the twists and turns of time. They wrote it to guide us and to preserve forever our right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But as much as the truths and principles enshrined in our Constitution remain the same, our democracy promises the American people the power to change, to chart their own destiny. That's the beauty. That is the importance of democracy. It allows the endurance, the permanence of a nation through change. It allows nations like our United States both to avoid the obstacles and to seize the opportunities God has placed before us, all while staying true to our founding principles. Today is our country's 60th inauguration ceremony. Like all the others before it, it is a celebration of our right to set our uniquely American course. The past several years have been trying at times for many, many Americans, and also for the nations of the free world that we humbly strive to lead. In November, Americans chose again to steer this nation towards greatness, the secure, safe, and prosperous future that our founders envisioned for all of us. And today, we celebrate not only their decision to do so, but also the simple right and wisdom of a free people to make their own choice so that their nation might endure. And now, allow me to welcome Archbishop Timothy Dolan and Reverend Franklin Graham, who will deliver our invocation. Please rise.
Be still and know that I am God, supreme among the nations, supreme on the earth. Let us pray. Remembering General George Washington on his knees at Valley Forge, recalling Abraham Lincoln at his second inaugural, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. Remembering General George Patton's instructions to his soldiers as they began the Battle of the Bulge 8 decades ago. Pray. Pray when fighting. Pray alone. Pray with others. Pray by night. Pray by day. Observing the birthday of the Reverend Martin Luther King, who warned, without God, our efforts turn to ashes. We, blessed citizens of this one nation under God, humbled by our claim that in God we trust, gather indeed this Inauguration Day to pray for our President Donald J. Trump, his family, his advisors, his cabinet, his aspirations, his vice president, for the Lord's blessings upon Joseph Biden, for our men and women in uniform, for each other whose hopes are stoked this new year, this Inauguration Day. We cannot err in relying upon that prayer from the Bible, upon which our president will soon place his hand in oath, as we make our own the supplications of King Solomon for wisdom as he began his governance. God of our fathers, in your wisdom you set man to govern your creatures, to govern in holiness and justice, to render justice with integrity. Give our leader wisdom, for he is your servant, aware of his own weakness and brevity of life. If wisdom which comes not from you be not with him, he shall be held in no esteem. Send wisdom from heavens, that she may be with him, that he may know your designs. Please, God, bless America. Please, mend her every flaw. You are the God in whom we trust, who lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen.
Mr. President, the last 4 years, there are times I'm sure you thought it was pretty dark. But look what God has done. We praise him and give him glory. Let us pray. Our Father and our God, thou hast said, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. As the prophet Daniel prayed, blessed be the name of God forever and ever. For wisdom and might are his. He changes the times and the seasons. He
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
to make men holy. Let us die to make men free while God is marching on.
It is my honor and pleasure to introduce to you the 45th and the 47th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
Thank you very much, everybody. Well, thank you very, very much. Vice President Vance, Speaker Johnson, Senator Thune, Chief Justice Roberts, Justices of the United States Supreme Court, President Clinton, President Bush, President Obama, President Biden, Vice President Harris, and my fellow citizens. The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. Our sovereignty will be reclaimed. Our safety will be restored. The scales of justice will be rebalanced. The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and our government will end. And our top priority will be to create a nation that is proud, prosperous, and free. America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. I return to the presidency confident and optimistic that we are at the start of a thrilling new era of national success. A tide of change is sweeping the country. Sunlight is pouring over the entire world. And America has the chance to seize this opportunity like never before. But first, we must be honest about the challenges we face. While they are plentiful, they will be annihilated by this great momentum that the world is now witnessing in the United States of America. As we gather today, our government confronts a crisis of trust. For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society lay broken and seemingly in complete disrepair. We now have a government that cannot manage even a simple crisis at home, while at the same time stumbling into a continuing catalog of catastrophic events abroad. It fails to protect our magnificent, law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions that have illegally entered our country from all over the world. We have a government that has given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or, more importantly, its own people. Our country can no longer deliver basic services in times of emergency, as recently shown by the wonderful people of North Carolina, been treated so badly. And other states who are still suffering from a hurricane that took place many months ago. Or more recently, Los Angeles, where we're watching fires still tragically burn from weeks ago without even a token of defense. They're raging through the houses and communities, even affecting some of the wealthiest and most powerful individuals in our country, some of whom are sitting listening. But we can't let this happen. Everyone is unable to do anything about it. That's going to change. We have a public health system that does not deliver in times of disaster, yet more money is spent on it than any country anywhere in the world. And we have an education system that teaches our children to be ashamed of themselves in many cases, to hate our country despite the love that we try so desperately to provide to them. All of this will change starting today, and it will change very quickly. My recent election is a mandate to completely and totally reverse a horrible betrayal and all of these many betrayals that have taken place, and to give the people back their faith, their wealth, their democracy, and indeed their freedom. From this moment on, America's decline is over. Our liberties and our nation's glorious destiny will no longer be denied, and we will immediately restore the integrity, competency, and loyalty of America's government. Over the past 8 years, I have been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history, and I've learned a lot along the way. The journey to reclaim our republic has not been an easy one, that I can tell you. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. That is why each day under our administration of American patriots, we will be working to meet every crisis with dignity and power and strength. We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. For American citizens, January 20th, 2025 is Liberation Day. It is my hope that our recent presidential election will be remembered as the greatest and most consequential election in the history of our country. As our victory showed, the entire nation is rapidly unifying behind our agenda with dramatic increases in support from virtually every element of our society, young and old, men and women, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, urban, suburban, rural, and very importantly, we had a powerful win in all 7 swing states, and the popular vote, we won by millions of people. To the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true. Thank you. Thank you. National unity is now returning to America, and confidence and pride is soaring like never before. In everything we do, my administration will be inspired by a strong pursuit of excellence and unrelenting success. We will not forget our country. We will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God. Can't do that. Today I will sign a series of historic executive orders. With these actions, we will begin the complete restoration of America and the revolution of common sense. It's all about common sense. First, I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And by invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks, bringing devastating crime to U.S. soil, including our cities and inner cities. As Commander-in-Chief, I have no higher responsibility than to defend our country from threats and invasions, and that is exactly what I am going to do. We will do it at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Next, I will direct all members of my cabinet to marshal the vast powers at their disposal to defeat what was record inflation and rapidly bring down costs and prices. The inflation crisis was caused by massive overspending and escalating energy prices, and that is why today I will also declare a national energy emergency. We will drill, baby, drill. America will be a manufacturing nation once again, and we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have, the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we are going to use it. We're going to use it. We will bring prices down, fill our strategic reserves up again, right to the top, and export American energy all over the world. We will be a rich nation again, and it is that liquid gold under our feet that will help to do it. With my actions today, we will end the Green New Deal, and we will revoke the electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto industry and keeping my sacred pledge to our great American auto workers. In other words, you'll be able to buy the car of your choice. We will build automobiles in America again at a rate that nobody could have dreamt possible just a few years ago. And thank you to the auto workers of our nation for your inspiring vote of confidence. We did tremendously with their vote. I will immediately begin the overhaul of our trade system to protect American workers and families. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury, coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before to restore competence and effectiveness to our federal government. My administration will establish the brand new Department of Government Efficiency. After years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, I will also sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship and bring back free speech to America. Never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents. Something I know something about. We will not allow that to happen. It will not happen again. Under my leadership, we will restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. And we are going to bring law and order back to our cities. This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. This week, I will reinstate any service members who were unjustly expelled from our military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. And I will sign an order to stop our warriors from being subjected to radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. It's going to end immediately. Our armed forces will be freed to focus on their sole mission, defeating America's enemies. Like in 2017, we will again build the strongest military the world has ever seen. We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars that we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier. I'm pleased to say that as of yesterday, one day before I assumed office, the hostages in the Middle East are coming back home to their families. Thank you. America will reclaim its rightful place as the greatest, most powerful, most respected nation on earth, inspiring the awe and admiration of the entire world. A short time from now, we are going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and we will restore the name of a great president, William McKinley, to Mount McKinley, where it should be and where it belongs. President McKinley made our country very rich through tariffs and through talent. He was a natural businessman and gave Teddy Roosevelt the money for many of the great things he did, including the Panama Canal, which has foolishly been given to the country of Panama after the United States. The United States, I mean, think of this, spent more money than ever spent on a project before and lost 38,000 lives in the building of the Panama Canal. We have been treated very badly from this foolish gift that should have never been made, and Panama's promise to us has been broken. The purpose of our deal and the spirit of our treaty has been totally violated. American ships are being severely overcharged and not treated fairly in any way, shape, or form, and that includes the United States Navy. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. Above all, my message to Americans today is that it is time for us to once again act with courage, vigor, and the vitality of history's greatest civilization. So as we liberate our nation, we will lead it to new heights of victory and success. We will not be deterred. Together we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease-free. The United States will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory, builds our cities, raises our expectations, and carries our flag into new and beautiful horizons. And we will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars. Ambition is the lifeblood of a great nation, and right now our nation is more ambitious than any other. There's no nation like our nation. Americans are explorers, builders, innovators, entrepreneurs, and pioneers. The spirit of the frontier is written into our hearts. The call of the next great adventure resounds from within our souls. Our American ancestors turned a small group of colonies on the edge of a vast continent into a mighty republic of the most extraordinary citizens on earth. No one comes close. Americans pushed thousands of miles through a rugged land of untamed wilderness. They crossed deserts, scaled mountains, braved untold dangers, won the Wild West, ended slavery, rescued millions from tyranny, lifted billions from poverty, harnessed electricity, split the atom, launched mankind into the heavens, and put the universe of human knowledge into the palm of the human hand. If we work together, there is nothing we cannot do and no dream we cannot achieve. Many people thought it was impossible for me to stage such a historic political comeback. But as you see today, here I am. The American people have spoken. I stand before you now as proof that you should never believe that something is impossible to do. In America, the impossible is what we do best. From New York to Los Angeles, from Philadelphia to Phoenix, from Chicago to Miami, from Houston to right here in Washington, D.C., our country was forged and built by the generations of patriots who gave everything they had for our rights and for our freedom. They were farmers and soldiers, cowboys and factory workers, steel workers and coal miners, police officers and pioneers who pushed onward, marched forward, and let no obstacle defeat their spirit or their pride. Together they laid down the railroads, raised up the skyscrapers, built great highways, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and triumphed over every single challenge that they faced. After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history. With your help, we will restore America promise, and we will rebuild the nation that we love, and we love it so much. We are one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So to every parent who dreams for their child, and every child who dreams for their future, I am with you, I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We are going to win like never before. Thank you. Thank you. In recent years, our nation has suffered greatly, but we are going to bring it back and make it great again, greater than ever before. We will be a nation like no other, full of compassion, courage, and exceptionalism. Our power will stop all wars and bring a new spirit of unity to a world that has been angry, violent, and totally unpredictable. America will be respected again and admired again, including by people of religion, faith, and goodwill. We will be prosperous. We will be proud. We will be strong, and we will win like never before. We will not be conquered. We will not be intimidated. We will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely. We will live proudly. We will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.